Hello and welcome to tonight's Drift Sound Meditation. My name is Joshua Bruner, and tonight we're going to be going over our beta and SMR brainwave states. So the first thing I'd like to do is go over some Zoom best practices. So I want this to be the best listening experience for you. Your computer will offer the best stereo listening and the best quality. Your cell phones offer lower quality audio and it's in mono, but it's still enjoyable, so you can listen on there for sure. Headphones or speakers are recommended. Your cell phone speaker or your laptop speaker aren't going to sound very good. And inside Zoom, you'll want to turn on original sound for best results. And I always ask people to try listening with softer volume levels to have your ear reach for the sound rather than push too much volume into your ear. You'll have a much more relaxing experience that way, in my opinion. But definitely just do it to your own taste as well. And I like this quote I came across today by poet Anna Akhmatova. And if you were music, I would listen to you ceaselessly, and my low spirits would brighten up. And I like that because it really speaks to what music can do for your spirits. If you're feeling down, you can definitely pick a song that you love that can pick your spirits back up, even if temporarily. So music has that power to guide your mind into places quite easily. And tonight we're going to be experiencing that with ambient music that is also embedded with entrainment tones, which will help guide your brainwave state to the one that we're working on tonight, which is our beta and SMR state. So let's talk about those briefly. So you're hearing a rapid tone right now. And this is the rhythm that our beta brainwave state falls within. Our beta brainwaves are between 12 and 30 pulses per second. It's pretty rapid. This brainwave state is mostly known for states of high anxiety, fight or flight, but it also is where a lot of our concentration is centered in the lower range of that frequency. And if you go around towards the 12 to 14 hertz area, that's kind of on the cusp of your alpha brainwave, dipping down into that low cusp area. And there's a secret little brainwave that hangs out there. Well, it's not a secret, but it's called your SMR, sensory motor rhythm. And when you start to meditate or relax, what happens is your main beta frequency happening between that 12 and 30 pulses per second begins to drop, and the alpha brainwaves begin to rise. And as that beta brainwave drops, in another part of your brain, there's a beta rhythm that rises. And that's that SMR rhythm that's closer to 12 to 14 hertz. And so when you're relaxed, that's kind of like an idle. It begins to idle like a car might idle. And that's you're just completely relaxed. You could be focused on what's going on, but at the same time, your body feels very comfortable and you feel like you're on top of things. So this brainwave state is really good for if you're feeling down and depressed, or if you're feeling really anxious. It's a great way to bring your mindset to a place that's a little bit more relaxed and peaceful. So you can guide your brain to this SMR state. So we're going to be doing that tonight, and let me just show you how we're going to make the music that we're going to listen to tonight. So just give me one moment. I'm going to put on my Muse EEG headband, and we're going to create some music with our brainwaves. I'll show you how in just a second. So now we're looking at my brain waves in real time. I'm monitoring this with the Music EEG headband. Let me just get this to fit a little better. And so we're looking at all 5 states of my brain waves right now, all 5 frequencies. And this is the volume levels of those frequencies. And tonight we're looking at this green area. Now, although this headband picks up your beta brainwaves, it doesn't pick up your SMR brainwaves, or if it does, it's not in a way that you could actually study. So instead, I've got you can hear music in the background. I've got the entrainment tone put into the instrument, so there's a pulse that you're going to hear that's going to fall within that brainwave state range. And let me just give you an example. I have a focusing technique, which I'll talk about briefly in a minute, where I can control this and compose this quite easily. So watch that green line as I begin to raise my focus. And you'll hear those birds in the background. That's the reward for reaching that focused brainwave state. So yeah, I just wanted to demonstrate that for you really quick, so you know that this is how we're making the music tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the visuals, and I'm going to just switch over to the Ableton Live session that I'm doing this in. So just one moment, please. Okay, so we're now in the session that I'm making this in, and I've got this going into this muse port, which is catching the data from the headband, and it's pumping it through this MIDI generator that I've set up, which is all going towards a couple of instruments that I've put together here. And you can see this is the keyboard, and this is the volume mapped to it. So I'll just raise my attention one more time so you can see that one more time. So I can guide my brainwaves up into that area. And then the birds will start to sing. I've got them set up in that upper range. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that briefly. I'm going to close this screen as well as we meditate. So I'm just going to stop this, and then we'll get started in just one moment. But first, let's talk about the technique that I'm going to be using. So like I said, when you start to relax more, that idle rhythm comes in, and the more major beta brainwave state that's more responsible for anxiety, for instance, would start to drop. So the way I'm going to kind of do this is I use if you've seen my gamma video, I use a technique where I make a face where I lift my brow a little bit, like I use the example of Harry from Harry and the Hendersons, the famous Bigfoot character. He's always got this very, very kind, trying to understand the human being face, and showing that he's a nice creature. And so that's kind of like an empathetic, understanding, and kindness kind of based brainwave state. So that makes a lot of sense why that might translate. So I make this face, and it pulls a lot of electrical energy in this range that your gamma and beta brainwave fall in when you move your muscles up in this area, and the brainwave EEG is collecting that data as well. So I do that, and I start to focus with my eyes closed, and then I'll relax and I'll let it drop, and I just relax my mind in the most dramatic way, almost just kind of like melting ice. And then after a little while, I'll go back up into that focus range, and I start to do this up and down wave thing over the course of my meditation. And towards the end of that, I really start to feel a sense of great relaxation, and my brain and my body start to feel really good. So that's what we're going to be doing. If you want to follow along with that, This is a great meditation for like lunchtime breaks and stuff like that because typically when you're doing neurofeedback sessions professionally, they will have you do this SMR rhythm with your eyes open most of the time. So you can do that on a lunch break with your headphones on and not have to worry about dipping into a sleepy zone if you just need a second away from work. Um, so I'm going to turn off the camera and we're going to get back into the music part. So go ahead and get comfortable. I'm going to be seated and I'll probably have my eyes closed as I try this technique. And I'll also be doing the breathing technique I always talk about, where I slow my breath down, breathing through my nose, out of my mouth. And then I also hold my breath. And as I hold my breath, I listen for my heartbeat and the feeling of my heartbeat. And I just kind of focus all of my attention on that rhythm. And that keeps me in a very, very present state and helps my boost my alpha brainwaves and gain a better understanding of my own body. So go ahead and get comfortable and we'll get started shortly. as our meditation comes to an end, I'm going to ask you to take several deep, deep, long breaths before we stop. So go ahead and do that now. So that was our SMR beta rhythm playing in the background there with the music. And hopefully you were able to feel a little bit of shift between that state of focus and that state of relaxation. It's really, really cool to gain a better understanding of your brainwaves in this way, because you start to learn how these rhythms affect your mood, how you're feeling, how your body's feeling, and you can take control of all this quite easily through sound meditations and entrainment. So before we go, I want to share one last thing with you, which is yesterday's brainwave chart, to just discuss that briefly. So I'm going to switch over to that screen. Okay. And so let's look at this briefly. This was yesterday's. We did an alpha meditation yesterday, and I did a breathing exercise, the one that I was mentioning earlier. And these peaks here, you can see, this is when I was holding my breath and listening to my heartbeat. And then I would release my breath and relax. And then I would hold my breath and listen for my heartbeat. And if you've looked at any of the other charts we've done, if I'm not doing this, usually when I'm doing a laying down meditation, I'm not as disciplined on the breathing as I am sitting, like in this meditation. So if you look at my theta and delta from this last week, you might see my alpha peaking around 80 on the volume scale here. But really focusing on that breathing and that heartbeat raises the alpha waves to higher values, and by the end of this I'm reaching just over 90. So it's quite a difference in how many alpha waves I'm producing, and you can feel that difference. It completely changes your entire mood, how your body feels. So these breathing techniques and stuff are really, really helpful to help get you to these more relaxed states of mind. So tomorrow we're going to go over our gamma brainwave to wrap up the week, and we'll look at the recording from tonight's brainwave, and I can show you how I'll be making that green, and actually the yellow line will be following it quite closely. But when I'm focusing, you'll see the peaks, and then when I was relaxing, just like you heard with the birds coming in and out throughout the song. So thanks for coming out. If you feel comfortable donating, we have a link on our page, and we really appreciate your donations. Otherwise, we will see you soon. Have a good night.